welcome back to See and Free Studio. So glad you're joining us today. This is the place where we talk about what makes us unique, special, and different. And in previous episodes, we've talked about the relationship between the mind and the body. And sometimes when you're feeling sluggish and your body is telling you something's wrong, it starts with the mind, getting your mind in the right place and really seeking to understand what's happening, what are your circumstances, what's going on around you. And my next guest knows a lot about the relationship between your mind and your body. I'm so excited he's joining us today. It's nighttime in Bergen, Norway, where he is joining us from. Svein Harald Mørkve is a neurosurgeon and fitness athlete. He describes himself as an alternative thinker and restless soul raised in the Norwegian countryside, and it's a beautiful countryside. If you've never been, you should go. It's absolutely beautiful. He's currently working as a senior consultant in endovascular and general neurosurgery in Bergen. He is Oxford and Bergen educated and has had a lifelong passion for sports, competing internationally as an IFBB men's physique fitness athlete, which he will have to tell us all about because I know nothing about this world. He was introduced to me by my college roommate and best friend, Lena. So hi, Lena, shout out to you. Please welcome Svein.
Hi, so glad to be here and really thrilled to meet you. Yeah. Sounds very grandiose when you're introducing me like that. I'm not used to that, but very good. Well,
you deserve it, my friend.
Whatever works.
So am I right that you went to Texas Lutheran for a period of time, came by and visited us down there?
That's right.
Yeah.
It was right after high school. So me and your friend, we had been to school together for years and years. And so we went to the same high school in Bergen, and they had an exchange program with Texas Lutheran. So that seemed like a great opportunity.
Yeah, well, I got to meet lots of fabulous Norwegians that came down to the college.
Yeah.
And then I got to go visit you guys there in Norway. Well, Svein, tell people, what are you doing? Tell them a little bit about Bergen for anybody who hasn't been, and what's it like there right now.
Right. Well, Bergen is the second biggest city in Norway. It's not very big, though. Norway is kind of empty, so it's about 350,000 inhabitants. It's Western climate, kind of what you expect in Vancouver area, I guess. And so it's wet winters, wet summers, wet all the time, actually, come to think of it, but generally quite mild, not very cold. So I'm working here now since 2010. I've been working as a neurosurgeon and enjoy it very much. It's plenty of work, and you get to meet people and in a real and sort of meaningful way. It's a grateful job in many ways, definitely.
Well, and it's a healing job, and this has been the year of everyone really focusing on their health around the world. I think we've all become much more conscious about our health and what it means. And, before we jump into that, how are people doing there in Norway with everything that's been going on this past year?
Well, it was in the beginning, we were it was easy. It was kind of protected on the outskirts here. It wasn't as bad as you had in Italy and further down in Europe, and certainly not as bad as in the New York area and that. But it's been sort of picking up pace a bit now on the third wave, and we've been in and out of lockdown. But Norway has been a lot more protected than many other countries, that's for sure. So we don't see anywhere near as high death tolls as many other European countries. But it's tough for everyone, and it's tough for the young folks and all the people suffering from mental illness and that. It's really taking its toll. So people are getting fed up, and I think that's a problem all over the world, I guess.
Yeah. I think people want to get back out. They want to see each other and connect. Yeah. And, Svein, the show for me was my way of reconnecting with people and connecting with people and learning about them. And I just love learning what makes people tick, what drives them, fuels them, what they're passionate about. So when you think about that for you and what your unique, special, and different is, what would you say it is?
Well, I was thinking about that when I sort of got in touch with you, because you don't really think about these things that much. But I suppose what really makes me tick, and what really, when I feel that my life is really meaningful, is when you get to connect with real people through my job. And, people come in, been healthy, been well, and suddenly they get an epileptic seizure, and then they're diagnosed with a brain tumor, or they fall over and you have a massive brain hemorrhage because of an aneurysm that burst and you didn't even know you had it. And the family around is in shock, and the patient, when they recover enough, can be in shock. And you meet people in a very vulnerable place, and just being real and getting the contact on a basic human level. I think that's really given me a lot.
Yeah. Do you find that with most surgeons? You're surgeons, and my brother is an anesthesiologist, so I know a little bit about surgery from him.
Right.
Do you find that that's unique? Because I do. Your approach. Yeah.
Well, it is maybe something that I strive and aspire to, and I've been trying to keep that realness when I meet people. And I think a lot of, you have soldiers come back from the war with PTSD, and as a surgeon, a neurosurgeon, maybe more than many other types of surgeon, you do get a little bit, you can get a little bit damaged, because you are the one who's deciding whether you're going to do something here, if this person is going to live or die. And it sounds awful, but that's your daily life quite often. And that affects you, and it can stump you and make you hard if you're not careful that you sort of keep your basic human connection. So I believe, you work hard, you spend a lot of hours just grinding through and keep working, and you can become very hard. And I think a lot of my colleagues can fall into that trap. You get divorces and your private life is falling apart, and you get even more hard. So, it takes its toll, and it can be challenging. But if you manage to keep that connection, you're in a place where you can actually make a difference. And people will thank you for it, and that's quite rewarding.
Yeah. How do you do that for yourself, on those, especially on those tough days? How do you stop and remind yourself how important that connection is, and that authenticity and the compassion that you're showing your patients? What do you do for yourself to take care of yourself?
Well, that's that other side where the fitness athlete comes in, is it? Yeah. I find I need to reset, and if you don't sort of do something completely different in your spare time, then it's very hard to leave work at work. So I go from work, and usually, if I can, straight for my workout, and by the time I come home, get endorphins in my body, and you feel fine and relaxed, and so it's not so many hours left of the day, but you certainly reset. And if you don't take care to do something else, I think it's very easy that you bring work home, and you bring that stress and the weight of work with you in your home life. So it's important to do something different. It is.
Yeah, and shake it up. I knew a nurse once who told me, when she would leave, she worked in the intensive care unit, but when she would leave, she would take her shoes off right at the door and put different shoes on, so that she could create that separation. Just viscerally do that for herself, so that she could move on with her day. I think we don't always appreciate what you all in the healthcare field deal with, and it is life and death every day, and it can take its toll. And so thank you for illuminating that for us. Svein, have you always known how to do that reset for yourself, or is it something that you had to learn over time?
It's certainly something that I've learned the importance of over time, but I've always been doing sports, and that's helped me to have a physical reset. So over the years, when you start out as a trainee surgeon, you don't have that much responsibility, but you have to be on the ball. You have to step up and work overtime and be aggressive, move ahead, so that you can get up and get your full-time job as a consultant. It can be quite demanding, and so I kind of early realized that I had the benefit when I was doing my physical activity. But I've seen the importance much more in later years, when you have much more responsibility, and if something goes wrong, it's your fault, and certainly that takes a much tougher toll than just having to climb towards something on a ladder. When you sit there with all the responsibility, and if anything happens, you sit there and think, well, was there anything you could do differently? Was there anything you could have done that would have changed the outcome? And that's when it's really important to be able to put it away.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I mean, thank you for that, for sharing, because I think we all need that, and sometimes we can ruminate like that. Talk about the brain. You can spend a lot of time up there and not connecting with other human beings. As you think about working with your patients who, like, when they go through a trauma like they do, and they are having to figure out how to recover and reset and get their mind in the game, and figure out how to move on with their life. Is there any advice that you give them, or that you find really helpful?
Well, maybe one other thing I say to especially tumor patients, if you get a malignant brain tumor, then the average time, or the average survival after you have a very malignant tumor being diagnosed, is not very good. And people will read this, people will Google this, people will see this, and they will see, okay, so the average survival is 16 months, 17 months. But I always tell them that, there's so many things between body and mind that we don't understand. And there's always people that beat the odds. So never to give up hope. You should always hope for you being the one that beat the odds, and it is possible. So I'm trying to make sure that people don't give up and put in their oars, trying to stay positive, because it means a lot for them and for their family around them. And if you only have a limited amount of time, then it's all the more important to make the best out of it. I mean, we all have a limited amount of time, and nobody knows when it's going to end. But it becomes very much more clearly painted on the wall when you get a severe disease like a brain tumor, for example.
Yeah. And I've seen that. I've always been just amazed at how optimism can carry people through some really, really challenging times. I've seen it with friends who've had very bad accidents, who they just believed they could get through it, and their body healed, and they were doing things that everybody told them they couldn't do. So I love that, because I think we all need to remember that that you need to keep a positive mind, because it doesn't have to take you down.
No, and the mind is very powerful, and I'm for one certain that we don't know all the potential things that we can actually change just through the mind. The immune system is connected to the mind and to our control of it, and a lot of what we call science today was just speculation 100 years ago. And we didn't have a clue. And I'm sure that science over the next 100 years will reveal a lot, and will make us benefit from these things more. But certainly there's more between the connection of the mind and how we think and our bodies than maybe we can prove today. And that's very important to keep and sort of make sure people are aware of as well.
Sven, this is the part of the show where I like to ask a random question, and you get to choose between 1 and 25. So then I will tell you what your question is. So which number would you like?
1.
1. Oh, thank you. Nobody does 1. What about the next year are you most excited about?
I hope to see the world opening up again so that we can travel and get in contact with friends and family and all the things we miss over the pandemic. But time will show.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think so too. And if, again, I should be in the tourism industry now for Norway, because if you have not been to Norway in the summer, you have to go. And I would like for Sven to be able to enjoy his Norwegian summer, because the light, it stays light until, I don't know, what, midnight, Sven? It just seemed like it stayed light. And then we would go out dancing, and then we'd leave the club. This was when I was younger, by the way. But we would leave the club and the sun would still be up, because it went down for like 2 hours. So I really hope that you get to enjoy your summer with your friends and family, and that you get that this year.
I certainly do so too. Yeah, we're quite far north, so thank God for the Gulf Stream. It's there to keep us kind of warm, even though we're probably about as far north as Anchorage in Alaska or something like that.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a very similar climate. Well, I thank you for answering that, because it's, I think it's been a little tough sometimes for some of us to think about the next year. But I hope, again, in the spirit of optimism, I hope we can all start getting excited. One of the things I'm excited about with the show is that we are using it to highlight nonprofits that people really care about and that are doing some really great work in the world. And I'm a real big supporter of the one that you've chosen, which is Doctors Without Borders. Would you please tell everyone a little bit about the organization and why it means something to you?
Well, it's basically doctors working in projects in third world countries where you really need medical services. And I've been following them for years, supporting them with money, and I've been trying to look into the possibility of traveling out myself. Unfortunately, neurosurgery is too specialized. They need general surgeons and gynecologists, and the simple things are what's needed in the world, and people die in labor and people die from infections, and what they can do only with a very minimal amount of money is amazing for people that are young and kids in these places. So I keep receiving these field partner letters, and it's I'm always a little bit jealous I can't go out and help them there, but at least we can support them with money and make sure that people get medical services all over the world.
Yes, yes. And we want to do that. So you'll see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see the QR code. You just snap it with your phone. It'll take you right to the donation page for Doctors Without Borders. And if you're listening on Spotify or another channel, you can just go check them out. It's really easy to search for them online. But please donate. If you're a doctor and can get involved, like Sven said, especially anybody that's a general practitioner, internist, and gynecologist, obstetrician, please take the time to do that. I honestly think it's such a great way to get new perspective on healthcare in different parts of the world. So I really hope that everybody gets out there and does that. Sven, I did promise everybody that you would tell us just a little bit about what does it mean to be an IFBB fitness athlete. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's my great hobby. I suppose I've always been working out, but I've been doing weights for 30 years. And just 3-4 years ago, I started sort of, taking it to a bit of a higher level and you start getting into the dieting and well, it's actually bodybuilding, but the fitness classes are not so extreme. We're not so big. We're just sort of more average. And men's physique is the class of bodybuilding, which is the lowest class or the least muscular class. We work out a lot, but it is possible to do it without using steroids and that. So, it's otherwise a sport that's not free from its afflictions in that sense. IFBB is the biggest organization, International Federation of Bodybuilding. So, it's been really interesting and really challenging because, you weigh everything, you look at all your proteins, all your fats, all your carbs, and you see that measurements inching up and down the right places. It's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah. Well, you sent me your picture. So the people watching this on YouTube, go to the website, seeandfreestudio.com, and Sven's whole description just now of it's really not bulking up or anything. I've never seen that many muscles in a human being. So Sven, I think you're doing well with your protein counting.
Well, thank you.
And you're working out. I wish you the best of luck. I don't know if they're still doing the competitions with everything that's going on, but I'm glad you have that as an outlet and a way to reset, like you told us. And I love that you're a connector and that you stay connected, you stay real, and that you're in Norway doing healthcare because it's a great country for healthcare. I am a big proponent of it, and I was there when I had a problem with my wisdom teeth, and I never forget. And you're familiar with Samnanger? I'm guessing the little town village. Yeah, we had to ride our bikes down a hill, and then we get to the dentist, and I'm like, my gums are hurting, my wisdom teeth are bothering me, and the guy gave me some medicine, and I was like, do you need my insurance? Do you take money? And he was like, no. Your health is what you need to be focused on. And I thought, that's great. So I learned a lot that day about how well you guys take care of each other there, and I'm glad you're a big part of that system.
No, it's a good system. We pay tax. We pay quite a lot of tax, but the great benefit is that the healthcare system is free for all, and the schooling system is also free. So I used to say to my American friends that Norway is about as socialist as you can get without being communist, and we've been so ever since the Second World War. And I'm proud of that because it's a social democracy in the best sense. There are social inequities or unequalness in Norway as well as any other European country. And I suppose that's been increasing here, just like many European countries. But we still have a very flat society and a very flat structure. And that causes less social tension, less buildup of sort of anger between classes, I think. So it's easier when it's a small country, of course. But I think our forefathers have done many things very right.
Yes. Yeah, you have. And I want all of us to remember how much, even though we're not able to travel right now around the world, let's not forget we can learn a lot from around the world. And I've learned a lot from my friends from Norway, including you, Sven, today. I'm so glad you came and joined us and that I got a chance to meet you. So thank you. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to keep going on the show and to meet more people like Sven around the world. Please come back and visit us. You can subscribe at seeandfreestudio.com, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us just about anywhere these days. And all of you in Norway, subscribe. I want to see you there. Thanks, everyone.